My name is Wendy Perring and I'm the founder and director of Pad Studio Architects.
So I'm Collette. I am architect and creative manager here at Pad. So as well as assisting the team with developing and delivering projects, I'm also in charge of kind of developing and crafting the brand and shouting and telling the story of our ethos and our process here at Pad.
Oh gosh, I guess I was always a creative child, and I grew up on a farm in Northern Ireland and was always playing with hay bales and rearranging them into various different structures. I was always very creative, loved to paint and draw and make things, and was very interested and aware of buildings and the built environment. And I guess I didn't really know that I wanted to be an architect until I was around 18. I thought I might want to study art, but decided to give architecture a go and just completely fell in love with it. Was very passionate about it when I started studying it. And yeah, for me it's the perfect job.
So I actually wanted to be an architect from the age of about 13. So it's been a very long process for me, about 3 decades. I wanted to do animation because I love the idea of storytelling and drawing, and I went and did some work experience with Aardman. Kind of thought, oh okay, this is quite good, exciting, and fell into a work experience placement with an architects, and they just transformed the way I viewed architecture. The whole idea of storytelling and a real exploration of place. And from then on, I wanted to be an architect.
Architecture for me is very meaningful because it really affects the environment in which we live in and affects our well-being. And I think that great architecture is something that should be accessible to everyone. So it is very impactful upon communities, cities, and the homes and places that we spend our time, from our workplaces to the places that we live and the places that we relax in. So architecture is in everything in our lives. So it's a great opportunity to really enhance people's lives by enhancing the built environment.
I think to me, that is what architecture is. It's the idea of storytelling, and I think good architecture does that. You can read, the thread of where the narrative started. It's about the site, the people, the place, and I think if you've got good architecture, you can read the story. Bad architecture, to me, doesn't have a story, and that's the difference.
Our work at Pad Studio is very varied. We do a lot of residential work, so we do a lot of bespoke one-off houses, but we also do community projects as well. So we love to do the community projects because of the impact upon a wider group of people.
Well, so I think that all came from us kind of taking on this space that we're inhabiting now. It used to be a fruit and veg shop, and we completely transformed it from that to a space that is quite homely. It's a very different approach to architecture. It's an open plan space because we all interact with each other, and we're quite social. We try and do office yoga because we also feel that a big part of pushing against the traditional vein of architecture where it's kind of very serious and maybe not considerate of its employees. We try to be far more kind of making sure that everybody's well, keeping themselves well, because we can't design a beautiful, healthy space for our clients if we're not keeping ourselves well.
Sustainability, my interest in sustainability really started when I was at university, so quite a long time ago now. And I think I was really made aware of the climate crisis, and I just think it's fundamental to who we are, and if we want to ensure that our planet both survives and thrives, we have to make good choices, and we have to really take the climate crisis very seriously. So I think that has shaped my attitude towards architecture, and I do have a conscience. I want to minimise my footprint and the footprint of my practice, and ensure that we do our bit in whatever small way that is. And we did make the decision last year to become a B-Corp, and that really underpins who we are. I think we were doing a lot of really good things anyway in terms of our ethos and our culture here in the office, and B-Corp really gave us an opportunity to formalise that and to, I guess, become part of a group of businesses who are similarly ethical and sustainable, and they put that very high up the agenda. We're not just about profit, we're about planet, and it's a balance between profit, people and planet for us. Our passion at Pad Studio is sustainability and the environment, and everything we do, it comes from that perspective of sustainability and low energy and minimising our impact upon the planet. And I think, we've been doing this now for 15 years, and 15 years ago, I think we were seen as being a little bit odd. And now we're delighted that it's much more mainstream. And of course, we're 15 years into this, doing this, and we have a lot of expertise. We've tried and tested different methods of building and different methods of heating, different materials. And so we've learned a lot from doing that, and we also do a lot of research in the office. So we look at the effects of the fabric of the building and how it performs after people move in, and that's really informed the choices that we make. So we're delighted that we've been doing that for so long, and now everybody else is joining in. It's brilliant. It's good for the environment.
I think architecture is going at two different paces. You have one sort of thread of architecture which is constantly evolving and really trying to kind of push new boundaries, be that environmentally, and kind of really driving to try and tackle this huge problem that we do have in terms of our environmental impact on the planet with architecture. So pushing materials, pushing process to really think and interrogate that side of things. And another thread, pushing technology and AI as to how we can best produce architecture. And then I do think there is another thread which is slower to come up, which is very much rooted in the old ways of architecture, which is harder to fight and a lot slower to develop.
I am absolutely delighted that natural materials and thermal mass are becoming much more popular than they used to. I'm delighted that we're using less processed materials, less plastic materials, plastic cladding, plastic windows, all those sorts of things that cannot be recycled or reused. They just, I think we've been used to living in a very disposable, throwaway society, which is why buildings were only being designed for a build life of 30 years, and that's really got to change, and it has changed. So I think looking at the longevity of the materials that we're specifying is absolutely vital. And what happens to those materials at the end of their life? So we're now thinking about the whole carbon cycle, and actually recycling should be a last resort. We should be specifying things so that they can be reused, dismantled and used for something else once the building has reached the end of its life. So you have to think about how can you make that happen. Yeah, I think the future home standards for us, I think we've been designing to that for a long time. So I think the rest of the world is catching up. So for us it's really important to keep ahead and to push things as far as and as much as we possibly can. So what can we do to make things even more sustainable, last even longer, use less carbon, minimise our impact? So that's what we're constantly asking ourselves.
Yeah, so obviously for you it's not really a challenge.
Well, I do think that in all of these discussions with sustainability and minimising impact, that we really overlook the role of beauty within all that. And I think for us that's fundamentally vital, that whatever we design is beautiful and it's not compromised by the environmental choices. First and foremost, it's got to be a beautiful thing, because if something's not beautiful, people won't enjoy using it, they won't love it. And for us, we want to create legacy buildings that will be loved. Working, I think, in close partnership with manufacturers is vital for us, because we need to really understand the products that we're specifying. And I think it's very important for our clients to touch and feel products as well. So getting samples and understanding what is in the product. So increasing our knowledge is absolutely vital. And I think as well, suppliers are really good. They know their product much better than we do, because there's so many different products out there. If they can understand what we're trying to achieve, we tend to find that they work with us to make suggestions about things that we don't necessarily know about, which is really helpful. So when we are specifying products, we tend to start with the touch, the tactility of the material, the environmental credentials of the material. So we're looking for natural materials, or materials that are very low in their embodied carbon, or materials that are going to, maybe if they have a little bit of higher embodied carbon, they're going to last for a very long time. So they're not something that's going to be faddish or just have a short shelf life. We're looking for things with longevity that are going to last and be, increasingly, I think they're going to be low maintenance. Clients always love that. They always specify maintenance free, which I think is a little bit of a misnomer, but everything needs a degree of maintenance. But yeah, that's very important for us. And then I think increasingly it will be very important for us to have a paper trail of to tell us where a product has come from and what its environmental criterion actually are, and the tests that have been done on that product. The future of architecture is, I think, gosh, it's very exciting. I think there are so many new materials coming out. I think because people are so much more aware of environmental issues and taking them seriously, I think that can only be really good, especially when it has to be adopted by everybody. So I think that's where the role of the architect will really come to the fore, because, dare I say it, but developers, large-scale developers, will not be able to conduct business as usual. They will have to think smarter, they'll have to think differently, and they'll have to think more environmentally. And I think that's a real opportunity for architects to step up and say, well, we can help you do that.
I'm both excited and worried for the future of architecture. I think that with the advancements in technology and AI and, BIM modelling and Revit, I think there is the potential to lose the understanding of creating and crafting space for people and place, because I think everything starts to become very kind of designed within a box. And yes, okay, there's a person controlling that box, but if they don't understand the design story and the problems behind it, we could end up with architecture that isn't correct and it isn't beautiful. And does it really serve a function if it doesn't understand the people? So that's one concern for the future. But I think on the other path, is really exciting, and I think we can do a lot to change the way people live and our impact on the planet. And I just really hope that we can kind of keep the balance between not getting carried away with robots doing everything, to kind of keep really grounded and focused on the people and the place in which we are designing.
Yes, so Cortex is a tennis pavilion in Southsea, but it's so much more than a tennis pavilion. It's really a community hub for the people of Southsea, and there's this huge program of community events that happens there, everything from art classes to yoga classes to film clubs. It's got a multifunctional space on the ground floor and an amazing cafe on the first floor, and a viewing gallery that looks over Southsea and the grass tennis court. So it's a real beacon, and the design, it's positioned on a public footpath on the way down to the Rose Garden in Southsea. So people walk past it, and we designed it with this very large shop window into the main space, and beyond that you can see through to the tennis courts. And for us, the design of that large window as a viewing gallery to what lies within and what lies beyond was really important, because we wanted to say we're open to everyone. We're not exclusive, so come in. This is what's happening inside. There are lots of fun things happening, and the tennis beyond is accessible for everybody.